the jams. Are you all ready for this? We are taking a second road trip of the day to the decade that brought us hammer pants, gave birth to grunge music, saw the explosion of the World Wide Web, and gave us a wave of cars that are already becoming classics. And no, I'm not talking about Mr. Belding's Miata. Welcome to the 2018 Forza Racing Championship live from Seattle, Washington. I'm Kate Osborne, and today we are racing through the 90s. It's the circle of life in North America as the usual suspects of Venom, Lightning, and Force One lead the pack yet again. But Vanquish is looking to sink the Titanic top 3 and steal his second showdown win in Series 2. It's time to light this place up with your LA gears. It's round 3 Wednesday Showdown. So hit me, baby, one more time. Oh, the 90s, you have racing. What a Wednesday night it's gonna be. Brian Eckberg right beside me, Kate Osborne. And we are here to see some serious racing. But first and foremost, we are slightly delayed, Brian. Explanation for that. Yeah, so you guys saw we had a delayed start. What's going on in general is Xbox is experiencing technical issues. That means that it's going to affect tonight's races. Wanted to give you a rundown of how that's gonna work tonight. Because we have these issues right now, some people are not able to connect into our lobbies. I'm thinking particularly of Billy Sue. Unfortunately, he is not able to connect, so he's been replaced by Sterilizer. Bad news for Billy Sue, but good news for Sterilizer. More importantly, this is going to affect how we run the show tonight and the adjudication process. We will be recording all of the races, but the adjudication of all of the races will happen after the broadcast. So we will be going through each of the races. We will have provisional results only. If you want to see exactly how it shakes out, how those final results work, check out ForzaRC.com. And you'll get all the final results. So again, everything will be captured, everything will be adjudicated properly, but the final results will be on ForzaRC.com. So a little bit different show tonight. A little bit different show, but hey, it wouldn't be the 90s without some technical difficulties. I feel like we're celebrating a little of that right now. All right, this is where you get a chance to get involved in our show. It's the polls, and this really can help dictate the race one way or the other. It's that Skyline GT RV spec or the RX-7, one that's very similar to the one behind us. It's going to be on Hockenheim. Brian, I don't know about you, but I want to see this bad boy race. I want to see the RX-7. We had the V-Spec Skyline this morning for the EMEA races. Let's get the RX-7 in here and see what we can do. A very different expression of JDM. So let's see this car get a little sideways, do some sliding, do some racing. I have a feeling that whichever car it is, we're going to be going sideways in a couple of these at JDM cars. Well, hey, of course, we know that you want to get involved in the show, and that is where you get to benefit from joining us at watch.forzarc.com, and that's with the quests and earning these prizes. I mean, we've got the Aston Martin Vanquish, we've got the M1 Pro car, that incredible Formula One car, Honda McLaren MP4. Can't go wrong with any of these. All of these I would love to drive in Forza 7 for sure. And then getting a chance to pick what your outside of your car looks like, I think, is another extreme thing of this. And this is 3 cars that we might see here today. We've got the Skyline, we've got the Cougar, the Mercury, of course, and that Peugeot 1C, which we saw just blistering around Suzuka this morning. Yeah, absolutely did. And of course, you want to look great in your driver's suit with your cool livery as well. So then you get to pick the driver's suit. That's right. We got a little driver's gear there. Easy for me to say, but looking good there. You know, I think one thing that we forget to talk about a lot of times is how these Wednesday showdowns really come about and the importance of what happens over the weekend before, Brian. A lot of things happen in our Wednesday. Do you want to go ahead and take a look at what we saw? I can't wait. Let's do it. What do we got on Sunday?
In week 3, it was a clean start from everyone as Veloce Force One set off from pole position in the Peugeot. An incident into turn 2 immediately put Sterilizer on the back foot, doing his best to filter through the back of the pack, but it was Master Apex attempted to fend off the F4H new recruit before disaster struck, seeing both drivers pit, finishing them 11th and 12th. Back at the top and hungry for victory, it was Venom charging hard, looking for the space in the last chicane and the hairpin, but to no avail, as Forza One kept calm and collected, taking the win in race 1. It was another clean start for the North American drivers at a sunny Sebring. In the Mercury Cougar, Venom made his presence known to turn 4 with a clinical overtake, taking the lead early on. Meanwhile, his comrade Sterilizer was out for blood, mopping up the opposition in spectacular fashion, only to cross paths again with Master Apex, causing a collision and receiving a penalty for his trouble. It was a painful mix of emotions, with the FOH Venom pulling clear of Force 1 and bagging 20 points in race 2. Drivers prepared themselves for the final race of the afternoon. It was do or die for Sterilizer, putting on a fantastic display of pace and precision. The FOH driver got a little consolation though, as finishing third would not be enough, leaving it to the last week for any chance to qualify for this Series 2 playoff. In Lobby B, it was back to Suzuka, where a forceful Vanquish stole the lead from Lightning at the very start. As the rest of the pack spread out like a dog with a bone, Lightning stayed within 100 feet of Vanquish the entire race and was unable to find the opportunity and was made to settle for second. Back in the Cougar at Sebring for race 2, with their gloves still on, it was time for Lightning and Vanquish to go another round. The tables are turned, of course. The immense pressure from Lightning gave the American all the room he needed to keep Vanquish at arm's reach and out of contention, as he took his first top step on the podium. Nothing short of action-packed race 3 was a montage of spectacular overtakes, with Harmonic stealing the limelight only to receive a penalty for his troubles. Meanwhile, the free-for-all that it was means that Venom will be starting off pole position, Lightning in second, and Force One in third.
It's always interesting to see how much of that will impact today and Wednesday Showdown, whether it be confidence, their skill sets, the comfortability, you know, each and every one of these weeks.
Yeah, great job for Mellish putting that together. We saw some really powerful cars this morning, and we saw it there in the Sunday races. These are really powerful cars, and some of the best drivers in the world trying to handle cars that have a lot of power. Those exits out of corners, very difficult for these guys. You
know, one driver that we really want to recognize here is Venom, and I think this will be an interesting day for him. He's yet to really get on top where he wants to be, but starting on pole at an event like this, especially as Suzuka, is going to be really key.
We call him the silent assassin, right?
Yeah, right.
He's this guy who is consistently on the podium, but he's never actually finished better than third place, I bet. So now he's starting on pole. A real opportunity for him to take some wins and reestablish his dominance in the ForzaRC.
Well, one guy that won last week, we have Vanquish, and it's interesting, another conversation, you know, you and I were having this conversation at lunch, actually, was the importance of having a new team or a team behind you and the backing that really provides.
Yeah, and we've got the THR team who have some great representation here today in the North American races, along with the F4H team. This is two teams that is heavily represented here in these races. So Vanquish starting on his new team, representing THR. Let's hope for good things for him. It's a guy that's been penalized a bit in the past, but so far has been pretty clean here in Series 2. Want to see that continue. Yeah,
I think it's going to be really exciting to see those guys who are at the top that we know are strong, we know they have, but we saw with EMEA too, that doesn't always mean what we saw prior really came out in today's Wednesday Showdown. Gentlemen at the booth, we have Scott Cole, Ali Tack. What do you think is going to happen here today? Because I think we might see a few things different than maybe in the past.
Well, you know, we were delayed a little bit because of the Xbox issue, and that was only about 3 or 4 minutes. The other 20 minutes was me consoling my partner right here, Ali Tack, because Billy Sue is not going to be involved. And are you going to be okay?
I don't know what I'm going to do. You know, like all of my support for Billy Sue, who I think is a fantastic driver, and I'm so regretful he's not out here, is kind of pouring out right now onto THR. I love Team Highlands Racing. I think they're a fantastic crew, and they got 3 drivers in the Wednesday Showdown. The best result ever for them, a whole kind of re-energized team. Can't wait to see how they perform. I loved seeing Emerge's recap. A THR livery taking the win. How cool was that?
Very cool. Let's take a look at the guys that are going to be out there racing here in North America. You see Venom up there on top. He's currently 4th in the world. Lightning 3rd in the world. He'll be starting 2nd. Force One right there. He had his decision overturned, so he moves up into 5th place. Vanquish, Harmonic, Revs, and the guys on the back half. THR Skyline used to be the guy that was wrecking everyone. Maybe a name change will be a game change for Skyline. There you see Diablo. And then Sterilizer, you saw him take some heavy damage in the Sunday heat. Thought he was going to miss out, able to get in because Billy Sue can't make it. He's currently sitting in 42nd, so scoring some points here could be huge for him.
It could be massive for him. Sterilizer actually got a penalty in the third race of his Sunday heats. That was overturned after an appeal that he sent through. So Sterilizer moving up through the field into first reserve after that, and now making his way into the Wednesday showdown. He's got it all to prove, as you say, but I think he can do a great result.
Well, let's see the cars and the tracks that these Yanks are going to be strapping on here. It's the Peugeot 905 Evo 1C. And she's a very kinky girl.
It's a cool car, right? It's awesome. It's got a bit of understeer for a Group C car. You'd expect it to have a pointy nose, but it's a little bit understeery. So, yeah, you have to watch that on the mid-corner.
And we'll take it down to Suzuka as it will go around the circuit. 3.6 miles on this asphalt layoff, and it has got 18 turns. And it's going to be interesting to see. Are we going to be in the dry? Are we going to be in the wet? You guys had an opportunity to vote for that. Sometimes we don't know until you say go. There's Venom up top, Lightning in the second, Force 1 in third. Give us someone else we should be looking out for in the rest of the grid.
Yeah, moving up forward through the grid, I want to look at Tri Parson from THR. He's kind of not part of the, the new renovated team. He's part of the community team. So someone who could really move forward here.
And we are lights out on Suzuka. This is the full circuit. It is bone dry out on the circuit. So here we go around the first two turns. 1 and 2. It's a double right-hander. And single file, no carnage as Venom leads the rest of the pack up through the S-curves onto the Dunlop here in lap 1 of 8. Venom been very fast over the last couple weeks, looking to keep his dominance going here in North America, and you can hear those engines roar. Let's take a moment to listen into this Peugeot.
Wobble there from Revs, but no such insecurity from Lightning, who's already up into second position in this race. That's demoting Force 1. Second place, front row starter, Force 1, sneaking backward down this grid.
Well, they've already gone through the hairpin for the first time. They'll be heading up to Spoon Curve here on Suzuka. Sky Cole and Ali Tag with you. Race 1 of 3 here in North America. As you can see, Lightning and Venom, that's going to be the 1-2 punch. And we're going to be watching for throughout these North American races.
I remember last week riding on board with Lightning in a Group C car around Road Atlanta. We're on now in a slightly different part of the world, but Lightning is so electric. He comes to life in these kinds of cars. Always great to watch, very aggressive over the curbs. It's his driving style. You see Venom up ahead, actually running quite a similar line there through the Casino Chicane. The two of them carrying very similar speed as we head into lap 2.
Well, let's welcome in Brian Egbert. Brian, that first lap always causes some drama.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Ali Tech. It's just as you were talking about Tri-Pass, and we saw exactly what happened to him.
Oh,
he went wide in turn 1. You see it right there, just off the tarmac, and now he's languishing in 12th place.
Why is it never good news with you, Brian?
I know,
I feel like I'm calling the headmaster's office.
It's nothing personal, guys.
At some point, we need him to come out here and go, everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
All right,
Everything's
thank you
all
so
right.
much. Appreciate it. It's hot. Laps 2 of 8 now. One of my favorite circuits, probably right behind Spa. Spa's probably my #1 that you can find in Forza 7. I'm starting to get hyped for Forza Horizon 4 just around the bend.
It looks incredible, yeah. Head around England, a little bit different to the Japanese countryside that we're currently in. But both great places to drive very, very quickly, at least in a video game. THR Vanquish here we're on board with. I love seeing these THR liveries out there. They do a great job on their paints, these sort of digital paints that they always run. It's great.
Yeah, he's got 8 wins on the season. He's been on the podium 23 times for Vanquish, including leading score just 2 weeks ago in round number 2. Remember, this is the road to Mexico City. We're here in Series 2. That'll culminate at the end of the year, taking Series 1 and Series 2 into the championship in London. That takes place in October. Some lockup, some wheel spin. You're going to have that little, maybe throw a little handbrake in there if you're feeling Feeling froggy.
That little sort of, that puff of smoke as the drivers go through 130R, that very fast left-hander at the back straight here in Suzuka, it all comes from the way they use sim steering in these cars, so they can almost over-egg the front tires into the corner, make the tires turn more than the car is willing to. And that's just them scrubbing off a little bit of speed through there, using the front tires to do that. So that's what you can see there with that smoke. It's it's an interesting effect of that. It shows how they're driving. Lightning, though, starting to close up now to Venom, and that's also giving a chance, a half a sniff of a chance here to Vanquish in third.
There's no way that I said Forza Horizon's taking place in Japan. I didn't say that, right?
No, I don't think so.
Chat's going in on me. Come on, man. I know it's taking place in more Scotland. It's more
right?
Scotland than England, if anything. So, in your face here in lap 3 of 8. And you can see they take it around the hairpin one more time. Up through that long bend, they call it turn 12. And then into the spoon curves, which is a double left-hander. Boy, this engine sounds absolutely fantastic. 641 horsepower, 359 torque here in this mid-engine. And it'll go 0 to 60 in 2.9. And back in 1993, that worked.
What a car. What a car it is. That spoon curve is very, very difficult indeed. If any of you haven't already seen it, head on over to Twitter and look at JSR Razor JDM putting a lap down around here. He put a video up of it. He takes this line into spoon where he runs 2 wheels under the grass with a kind of Scandinavian flick. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Absolutely incredible driving on Forza Motorsport 7. Veloce Force 1 now, 4th place, and starting to breathe down the neck of Vanquish in 3rd.
So lap 4 of 8. Skyline, he's been pretty fast out there on the track, able to hold on to 5th. See Vanquish doing everything he can. Try to hold the door. You can see Lightning up there pressing as well on Venom. Halfway through this race, it's just a tremendous circuit here in Japan. When you talk about Suzuka, it's got a little bit of everything. The way they attacked 8 and 9, that's 9 right there as you head down to the hairpin, you go up and under the bridge. Just a fantastic test for these drivers, especially in this 93 Peugeot. And you put an R in there somewhere.
Yeah,
Peugeot.
I never realized this was a difference between Americans and English people. But yeah, we say Peugeot.
It's a car, not a cat.
It purrs like a cat.
Yeah, it's a car. You're missing a letter there.
I think Peugeot sounds a little sexier than Peugeot.
We say it on purpose so it doesn't sound good. Oh, the Peugeot.
That's Lightning moving for the lead. That's neck and neck, Lightning and Venom up towards 130R. Difficult place to go 2 cars wide here. This is going to get spicy. Venom not backing down.
No, he's able to slide right back in front. He'll have to cut it down here for a minute. See if he can continue to hold Lightning out, but at least Lightning's being aggressive as we come back to the start-finish line, entering into lap number 5.
You called Lightning as aggressive. That was aggressive from Lightning. It was also super aggressive from Venom. Most people would back out of that.
And here comes Lightning to the inside, the youngster from North Carolina. Let's see if he can make this one stick as he slides around, up and through. You saw Venom go wide. You saw him lose a little bit of that momentum, and Lightning able to dash to the inside and make it stick. Here in lap 5, we have a brand new leader in Lightning. He was patient through the first 5 laps, saw the window open just a moment and drove right through it.
The pressure showing there from Venom. A mistake on turn 1. He'll be kicking himself. Vanquish could do a mistake like that as well now. He's looking forward to Venom, who he knows is weak. He can smell blood. He's making mistakes. Maybe Vanquish can move up to 2nd here to take advantage of that lack of momentum for Venom.
1, 2, 3, 4 go all the way through the hairpin there on 11. Force 1 is in 4th. He's holding this trail. You can look back, you see Force 1, he's losing a little bit of momentum with the rest of the pack. Lightning up ahead, Venom, there's Vanquish in 3rd. That's who we're riding along right now. Sort of that Tron-inspired livery here on this Peugeot 905 Evo 1C.
Back through 130R, that puff of smoke as they all lean on their front tires through the casino chicane and down towards the start-finish line again. Venom heading towards the scene of the crime from last lap. That little moment where he slipped off the track. Down to second, and it could see him tumbling further.
Running into lap 6 of 8. Double right-hander. Get ready for the S-turns. You got to make sure you get up on the curb, get up on the apron to keep that speed up. This car and track combo hits you speeds well over 200 miles per hour. And a beautiful view up on top from the Ferris wheel as they pass down through Denture Curve into turn 9, and turn 9 is everything. That's how you keep that momentum going down to the hairpin. And you saw Lightning going wide, but able to hold it within the limits. Lightning slowing down. Got Venom hot on his heels. Vanquish is there as well. Lap 6 of 8 as they race down to the Spoon Curve. Double left-hander upcoming.
I wonder if Vanquish has waited too long here. Venom looks like he's regathered himself, gotten his momentum back together, and he's on the rear of Lightning now. Venom looking aggressive. He's back on the front foot. Lightning will have to defend.
Lightning very fast. He's run a 142 almost flat through Suzuka, which on the full circuit is impressive. That's well outside the limits.
Lightning's done that a few laps now. I wonder if the adjudicators will take a look at that. Of course, we won't have that happen immediately after the race, but they'll be taking a look later. A few moments running wide out of 130R, and that's going to give him an advantage. And that is crucial with them giving out penalties.
Just 2 laps remaining here in Japan. Celebrating the 90s, we're wearing plaid. We got the 97 FD 3S in the building. One of my favorite cars of all time. Through the S curves. That'll put him off onto the Dunlop. And Lightning holding on for dear life as Venom trying to show that he's not the only one that's able to strike. Vanquish.
Watching Venom here has made me so nervous. I broke my pen, Scott. It's broken.
He's upset that Billy Sue is not in this 12. Starting to take it out on things in the studio. And Venom to the inside on Lightning. Lightning, has he lost some momentum? He's able to hold on coming out of the hairpin. An interesting peak for Venom. But through that line, can't make it hold. Double left-hander again through Spoon.
Lightning is hanging on to this lead by his fingernails, less than his fingernails. What's less than your fingernails? The absolute edge of his fingernails. Absolutely incredible driving from Venom to put this much pressure on Lightning. No incidents, no accidents. This is going to come down to the final lap now as they head through the casino chicane for the second to last time.
Lightning, a win here would give him 17 wins on the season. His 37th podium for Venom. He would have a 16th win, 39th podium. He's been one of the most consistent drivers in North America as we have one more lap to go here in race number 1 of 3. And it's going to be an absolute cracker of a race.
To give you all some context about the battle that we're watching unfold here, Lightning is ranked 3rd in the world. Venom is ranked 4th in the world. Both of these drivers are at the absolute pinnacle of Forza Motorsport 7 and the Forza Racing Championship. They are absolute monsters on the track, and that's what we're seeing unfold here. 2 drivers pushing this car to its limit.
They got to be careful because Vanquish and Force One are also hanging out in the shadows just behind them, so they can't get tunnel vision. They'll come down to the hairpin one more time here on Suzuka. Venom tried to make a move there last time. Won't happen this time. Lightning, smooth and steady. Holding that #1 spot like a fat kid on a blanket. And he'll go to the double left-hander of Spoon. Rocking and rolling is the 19-year-old from North Carolina. Racing for the fam watching. back on the East Coast of the USA. Boy, is he fast right now. Got to be careful. Tries to straighten her back up as they go through the chicane. One last time through the triangle of 16, 17, and 18.
It's not going to do it. Lightning is going to pass the line in first position, but Venom there, I wonder if he'll think, do I have a sniff of the victory? Because Lightning ran wide 130R time and time again, including that final lap. That final lap, he was 4 wheels off the line, off the track.
That's going to be something to look at a little bit later. Won't be able to look at it today. Right, yeah. But talk about pushing not only themselves, but Suzuka to the very limits here, Brian.
A little bit of good news, bad news for Venom, right? He's on the podium, but he's second place, which is great, but he missed out on the win. He was so close. And it's a classic first-turn mistake. We saw earlier in the day that battle between Box and Roadrunner. Lots of opportunity there in turn one. And in this case, Venom losing out to his opponent there at turn one.
It's so crazy to say how fast those two guys are. Because Vanquish and Force One, both very quick themselves, had no chance at catching up to that 1-2 battle.
Every time they got into each other, right, they'd, Venom and Lightning at the lead of this race, they'd get into each other, slow each other down a little bit. You'd think, oh, maybe Vanquish and Force One, they're going to get involved in this battle. They got a little bit closer, but never quite really made an impact in that fight for the lead.
It seemed like a moment there that Vanquish was on the rear end of Venom, but and I was like, this is a great debut for Venom in the for Vanquish in the THR team. But you're right, those two guys slowly crept away, and it seemed like Force One was falling back a little bit as well there. So great for THR Vanquish to finish on the podium, but they did not have the pace compared to those top two.
No, I'd have to agree. It's some great racing there. Maybe a little bit more exciting than we saw earlier today from Europe. I don't want to throw some shade out there, but Lightning and Venom definitely putting on a show.
Yeah, absolutely. They look fantastic, and great racing all around. You know, these guys handled this car that we talked about how difficult it is with aplomb. I think if we, if you can handle a car like this on a track as technical as Suzuka, great racing is going to happen.
I want to see the replay again of that little moment for Venom at turn one, just sliding off the outside of the track.
You want to see the replay? We got the replay. Moving pictures right here for Ali as he's still mourning the loss of Billy Sue not being in this with Brian. Take us through it.
Well, there's Tri-Pass, and we talked about at the top. He sort of went wide in that turn one. Everything's happening at turn one here. Turn one is just amazing. And, of course, but the story of this race was that incredible battle between Venom and TX3 Lightning. Lightning got away from him, but you saw this incredible late break there from Venom, just keeping his position there. Of course, he wouldn't be able to make it stick ultimately, but that was a fantastic moment right there. And here's turn one. Here's turn one. Venom just a hair wide, Lightning there to take advantage of it.
On a rerun of that, it looked like under braking Venom dipped just an inch of his rear left on the grass. Maybe that was what unsteadied him into the first apex, a little bit wide.
By the way, Lightning's mom's in the chat. She does not say hi to me or you, but she says hi to Ali. If you want to say hello, hello to Lightning's mom.
Oh, we'll say hello, hello, hi.
Who's hanging out there. Let's go over to Kate for those provisional results.
Well, I want to say hi to Mom out there, too. Hello, even though it wasn't to me either. But, hey, the provisional results, I think this race is one of those that I think will be really interesting to see how it all shimmies out here. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we have. As we were getting off chat there at the end of that race, there was a big question, obviously, will Lightning be penalized? And that'll be coming at some point in time to know that. But, of course, Lightning there in front, Venom in second, Vanquish in third, Force One in fourth, Skyline in fifth, and so on and so forth. At one point in time, gentlemen, Flip Mode was saying Venom was in a tough spot. He'd rather be in third. Is that something that you would have thought he would have been thinking?
I mean, Flip Mode is from THR, right?
He is.
So, I mean, and in third, it was THR Vanquish. So, I mean, yeah, he's going to big up his boy, you know?
Yeah, just a tad. You got to go for the team there, so you can't blame him, Kate.
All right, so what's filling up our studio is a JDM. We're really celebrating the 90s here today, but I think it's a better idea to get a closer look at what is behind me and get, I think, what Ali thinks is the coolest part of this car.
This 1997 Mazda RX-7 has an R-Magic body kit and adorable flippy lights. It's so 90s, a little slice of that street racer downtown Tokyo vibe that for many JDM-loving cool kids, defines this decade. Under the hood is the legendary Wankel rotary engine. It revs high, and while it's down on torque, it's renowned for smooth power delivery. Now, Japanese manufacturers had a gentleman's pack throughout the 90s. Leaving crazy horsepower figures to the Americans, they limited their sports compacts to just 276 brake horsepower. And while that's a figure the RX-7 matches to the dot, it's how the car gets there that counts. Mazda paired their rotary with the first ever production sequential twin turbocharger. That's a little turbo for the low revs, and a big one that steps in once the car's really getting wound up. And the best bit is that the car loves that. Mazda actually recommend redlining the RX-7 to keep the engine healthy, and people certainly did. From the street races of the 90s through the stunt drivers in the Fast and the Furious franchise to Mad Mike's crazy drift quad rotor, and indeed this little monster right here, it's just out racing the other day, the RX-7 found a special place in all car lovers' hearts. This car is one reason I love the 90s.
And Ali, I want to say that I love the 90s as well. Thank you so much for diving in a little deeper into that car. I just wish that all of us had the chance to drive it in and out of here, right?
I like flippy headlights. I just love that.
By the way, his favorite part maybe was those flippy headlights.
Hey, one of the guys was showing me if you mash the headlight button enough times, then it flips, it goes like this and that. And it starts winking.
Classic 90s.
Exactly. Like a little one-eye flip every now and again. It's awesome.
All right, so we know the adjudication process definitely happens for these Wednesday showdowns, and they can really be hit and miss. Well, we did have one with Force 1 and Vanquish that came out differently.
We did. So both Force 1 and Vanquish, after the race, appealed the decision that was made. Vanquish was given a penalty in the last race last week, and Force 1 was given a DNF, which isn't sort of technically a penalty, it's just didn't finish the race. Right. Force 1 managed to prove that he did in fact finish the race, and Vanquish showed some extra footage of the thing he was penalised for, and it was chosen that actually it wasn't his fault in the end. So both of them managed to, change the results slightly after the race.
And taking that momentum into good results in the race number 1 here. So well done to both those guys.
Very good point. Very good points. Well, let's go ahead and take a closer look at that leaderboard and see how it shimmies down from our Wednesday showdown.
Yeah, Wednesday showdown from last week, I guess. So Vanquish there at the top with Lightning.
Absolutely. So Vanquish taking the win last time out. It's a great performance from him. We didn't have a moment yesterday, I should say yesterday. It feels like yesterday. 2 weeks ago, where we could all sit down and say, "Oh, what a great job Vanquish did." But look at the results there. What a great job he did. 4th, 2nd, and 1st, and that's enough to win the week. So a great result for him. The week before, he signed a new contract and came to a new team.
Well, then let's take a bigger look. Let's take it out a little. Let's widen this to the global leaderboard.
Right. I like
to the global leaderboard and see how it really is a shakedown. This is obviously exceptionally important as we make our way to Mexico City and then obviously on to the World Champs in London.
And no, we don't have a new number 1 here. This is just a rename, right, Ali?
Another rename. Another rename.
It's a theme.
It changes his name every month or so. Zoom is, of course, the same as Hard BR. And changing from TX3, which is previously the team he was with, to being now with Sauber, Alfa Romeo, or whatever you want to call them, that that new esports team. So
yeah,
fantastic.
Super exciting news. I think we should all come up with our own name changes by the end of this. How about it?
I like it. Yeah.
All right, as we're coming back, some more news that we have. THR. I mean, there's been a lot of. It's interesting, like I said, these build-ups throughout the season. It's interesting how it really can change each week. We have something new happening.
New teams coming online, new drivers moving around. We see some big moves like Hard BR going to Sauber, and these community teams gathering steam like THR.
Isn't it great? As you say, community teams. Some of the community teams really upping their game and attracting very big drivers to join them. We've got the pairing of the previously AMS McQueen and AMS Vanquish, who both went privateer for a week or so, and then joined THR. That we've seen them work together, and what a great unit to bring together in a new team, a new pro team, of course, at THR. So promising for that team. I'm so hyped to see how they get along in the Mexico playoffs.
And think about THR doing a lot of representation here this weekend. F4H, another community team, a lot of representation as well. So just because you're a community team doesn't mean you can't have an impact.
Exactly, absolutely right. And I want to say as well, you know, missing from that graphic, the guy missing from the graphic is Tri-Person.
Right.
You know, an OG crew THR member who wasn't in our graphic, but he's doing an amazing job this week to get himself into the Wednesday showdown and represent. A little bit of a slip off the track, though, in the first race.
Yes.
Hopefully you can do better.
I do think there was a couple of slips off the track in that first race, to be clear. As we are wanting to get, right before we go to the next race, let's go ahead and take a look at the results again as they stand now. As a reminder that
Yeah, these are provisional results. If you missed the top of the show, Xbox Live is having technical issues. As a result, we are recording these races but not adjudicating them yet. So provisional races will stand for now. The adjudication will happen after the show is over. Check ForzaRC.com for the final results for all these races today.
Well, of course, you can always join in our fun at watch.ForzaRC.com as you dictate what happens to these drivers, maybe what cars, wet, dry tracks throughout all of these Wednesday showdowns. And right now, it's time to open up hole number 3, as these guys will be racing on Sebring in some of Brian's least favorite cars. These guys
It's only because I'm terrible in them, not because I dislike the cars themselves.
Skill sets in them, yeah.
That's right. It's a skill thing. It's a personal thing.
Of course, we have that Cunningham Racing 300ZX and that Whistler Radar Cougar XR7. In chat earlier, it was funny that people really are vibing with that Cougar.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see if that had any kind of implication on what happens in this. Again, these cars will be racing on Sebring, which is one of those tracks that's exceptionally bumpy. That first turn is a little bit intense. And some of the drivers during the chat earlier today, Brian, were giving their feedback as to why that track was so tricky. We'll get to that in just a bit. But gentlemen, we are gearing up for race number 2. It's we're taking it to Hockenheim in a car. That should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, all regular Germany, Wiener Schnitzels and all. And it's going to be interesting to see what car these guys pick. They had the choice between the Skyline or the FD that we have in the building here. And I've owned 3 of these FDs. Never had the opportunity to own a Skyline. But both of these are pretty sweet. I feel like the community, though, loves the Skyline over the FD.
They're both great cars, right? Of course, they're both absolute classics of the era. I mean, your RX-7s, though, man, you must have been in the shop constantly. They need maintenance all the time, right?
I didn't drive it as much as it's sat in the garage. I can tell you that. Let's take a look at what car you guys chose for race number 2. And it is the Skyline GTR, the V-Spec. That's 287 horsepower, but she's heavy.
You know, I was almost hoping they wouldn't go for the Skyline because the guy who would have loved this car is Billy Sue. He's always got it in an all-wheel drive car.
Always got to come back to Billy Sue.
Always got to bring it back to Billy Sue, even when he's not
Sue.
here, especially when he's not here.
Well, they're going to be on Hockenheim. We mentioned that's right in the middle of Germany. 2.84 miles, 17 turns. Watch out for turns 3 and 4, 6, and of course 11 when they go through Mobile 1. That could be the difference between being on the podium and being all the way at the back. That's how tedious this track can be at times.
It's a very exacting track, as you say. High curbs mean the cars bounce around and bump. You can so easily lose momentum, see other cars rushing past you. The grid here, of course, reflecting that change at the top we saw in race 1. Lightning will be on pole with Venom on 2nd.
Yeah, Vanquish down there in 3rd, Force 1 in 4th, and we are all green here on Hockenheim. Oh boy, it's been a long day. Go, go, go. 7 laps. Lightning will be out in front. He already does a little decorating as cones fly, coming out of the Nord curve, racing down to turn 2, 3, and 4 as they'll turn back into the north. You can see the sun barreling down on our drivers. It is dry conditions out there on the track, and the question is, will Lightning make a mistake? Will he allow Venom to keep applying the pressure? We're too wide between Venom and Vanquish. Lightning out in front, Force 1 just right behind him. That's how fast these 4 drivers have been. A little late on the brake for Lightning. Oh, Force 1's trying to...
Close. So close.
I'm not sure. Is this the FRC or is this some tandem drifting? We'll have to figure it out. As they'll come all the way down through 7. Coming up on turn 8, that's Mercedes. You're facing the grandstand there. And Force One's trying to make his way in here on Venom. Venom gets Force wide, so Force One, he'll make that stick here in the first lap. And now he's set his sides up on Vanquish. Riding along in second, Lightning holding on to first. He started there.
That's great for Force One, and he's a real momentum driver. He likes to feel as though he's making progress, get the shoulders up, get the heart racing, and that's when he starts getting super, super quick. So Force One starting to wind up, just like this race.
So Force One with the overtake, able to stick it in third. Right behind Vanquish. Come around this long turn 15 and 16 as you make your way back to the start line. Lightning getting a little squirrely to see if Vanquish can carry some momentum. Neither can. That's allowed Force One to make a run. He'll back off. Boy, Lightning going wide again. Revs has gone wide.
We're going to go 3 wide here into turn 2. Force One looking to make the move for the lead from third position, and he might just manage it as they all head into the apex. Not room for 3 cars there. They bump through. This is too much.
I don't know if he's going to make it stick. Vanquish might be the one that ends up coming out on top here. Lightning, though, he's to the inside as this long, it's not really a straightaway. It's a slight left. That's what your GPS would say as you head down to the hairpin. Recalculating. We're coming down to the hairpin. This is an important turn with Vanquish trying to make it stick. 3 wide. Force One's got a nose in there. Venom makes its way into second. Lightning's dropped back into third.
This race is coming alive. Venom with the double overtake there, all the way up from 4th to 2nd place. He's still going to have to fight off the attentions of Lightning, who's hanging around the outside there. We head into the much slower, grippier back section of this track.
Lightning losing the back end there for a moment. Can he make this second place stick? Venom to the inside. He's up on the grass. Nowhere for him to go. Lightning. Let's see if Venom lost some momentum there. If Force One can get himself back in.
This is all playing beautifully into the hands of THR Vanquish, who is leading the race currently, and that's a dip on the gravel, though he can't quite hold that lead. He had it in the bag almost. Dips his outside tire onto the gravel at Mobile 1 and loses all of that momentum. So back into this pack for Vanquish, who had a sniff of free air there.
One last turn here of lap 2 of 7. Let's see how they come out of this final turn. And they'll all line up. That'll give us a moment to check in with Kate on social media.
Well, you guys are talking about how Force One, if he can get it done and get the job done and get you in one of those top 3. Well, he said earlier today on chat when this race was going on in the EMEA, he feels like if you're not the driver making an overtake, you're being overtaken. I'm going to have to be very aggressive tonight. And that is a really key point that his takeaway was from this morning's sessions.
I appreciate it. Hopefully he keeps his Xbox on all the way through the finish line. Little tip for the kids at home. Able to get that decision overturned. And that's why he's back on the attack again. It's a youngster that lives by his emotions. When I'm speaking of Force One, Vanquish and Lightning side by side. Everyone increasing their lap times. Everyone pushing themselves. There's really not much separation between 1st and 11th, and Vanquish not able, goes wide on that turn, so Lightning up in to first place. Force One slides into second.
Force One's doing a great job here of just holding back a little bit, not doing any silly moves and allowing the cars in front to make mistakes. Open up the door for him and sneak through. He's up to 2nd so far. A little nudge from Vanquish there. Not too well received from Force One, but up to 2nd so far. He might have a sniff of the win here if Lightning makes 1 or 2 mistakes.
Boy, 2nd through 6 is a log jam right now. Lightning got a bit of breathing room as they'll go all the way down to 12 through Sachs. Got to be careful. No more throwing up the gravel. Keep it on the asphalt if you can. Come flying around 15 now. Vanquish and Venom took a look to the inside.
That's a sweet move from Venom. Look at that, beautiful. Round the outside on the way into Sud Curve, that final corner at this track, just Doing it all under braking, absolutely. Yeah, I love that move. Nice one, Venom. He's been a beast around the outside, hasn't he? 130R, that defense against Lightning last race, and this time around pulling that off. That guy's in tune with his car.
Lap 4 of 7, Scott Cole, Ali Tag with you. Race 2 of 3 here in North America. No adjudication. They'll be posting the results when they have them later on. Of course, the website and social media. Keep it locked. Because the Xbox outage don't have the technology to be able to have our adjudication. That means more racing for you guys. Lightning up front, Force 1 in second. You got Venom in third after that move. Vanquish has fallen down to fourth. Boy, some late braking there and a little bit of contact from Force 1, and that gives him some room to come to the inside.
That's that aggression that Force 1 was talking about. That's that aggressive move. Send it in there and sort out the consequences later on. There have been a lot of very similar, slightly pushy moves into the hairpin so far today. He's just being another one of the number of drivers to make that move. He's still going to have to fight off Lightning, but yeah, that's around the outside. He'll make that stick. So the lead for Force 1, and Lightning is defending for second place.
And we'll see if that holds up in the adjudication. That was a very aggressive throw by Force 1. He's pushed Lightning all the way off to the inside. He's got Venom hot on his heels. There's Vanquish right there in fourth, running right behind, single file. And that's Harmonic coming up in fifth. He wants to be a part of the party here through lap 4.
What a change from earlier this year. We started 2018 and it felt like a two-man show. Venom and Lightning really leading from the front in North America. These days there's any number of drivers who could win these races, all the way down to Vanquish certainly, and I would even start to include Harmonic in that number, somebody else who could win the second race here at the North American Wednesday Showdown.
3 laps remaining. We're in lap 5 of 7 here on Hockenheim. We're in that 97 Skyline GTR V-Spec. You might know it as the R33. That's what the kids at home would call it. The ones that are out there racing every week to be a part of what we call the Wednesday Showdown. It's not an easy journey, as a lot of folks in the chat can attest to, and especially these 12 out on the track representing North America. Force 1 out in front. They got there by a little movement, but look at, well, I know that's no way that's going to stick.
There is
I
Venom.
applaud the effort from Venom to throw it in there. Late braking. And now he's got to be worried about trying to hold that third spot.
He knew that was deep. He knew that was too much, and he just articulated the car onto the inside of the track, over the curb, allowed it to run wide and collect itself back up. Didn't take anybody else out of the race, though. So a well-executed bail there from Venom in a lot of ways.
Yeah, he was looking to have that steak medium rare. Definitely overcooked it through that turn. And now right-hander coming up. Force 1 still out in front. Well, these guys pushing the very ends of its track limits. And maybe even the limits of this car here in lap 5 of 7. Coming through turn 15 and 16. We call it the sun curve, and so does everybody else on planet Earth. Some bumping and grinding R. Kelly style. And they'll come back to the start-finish line. We'll be joined once again by Kate Osborne. What do you got for us, Kate?
Harmonic's obviously pushing and doing what he can to get there up in the top 3 as well. Running 5th right now. Williams_RR on chat says, don't forget Harmonic to get a penalty in this car last time. It is something to think about. Obviously, these guys have a showing one way or the other, and these cars are comfort level one way or the other. Ali, how much does that play into it?
It does play into it a lot. I expected to see last race, and that's the leader going wide. That's Force 1 getting it all wrong into turn 2, tumbling back down behind Lightning. Force 1 having to file back in there. That could be decisive for this race. It makes a huge difference.
That move right there is called karma, is what that is. That's self-adjudication as Lightning is back in front after the move Force 1 put on earlier. Almost T-boned them. Thought they were going to have to exchange insurance information with 2 laps to go. And so Lightning back in P1. Force One right behind him. There's Vanquish. Harmonic once again involved. By the way, at some point, Roadrunner's got to retire and just become a marshal because that's what he wants to do. That's where your heart is, Roadrunner. You might as well get in there. I don't know, gfinity.net. There's got to be an application out there.
Somewhere.
There's got to be apply online.
This race looks like it's beginning, with 1 lap remaining, it's beginning to split into 2 packs. That battle for the lead between Lightning and Force One, and the battle for third between Vanquish and Venom. Never say never. Vanquish could catch up to that leading battle, but as things currently stand, I think there are 2 possible winners in this race.
Boy, this all will, well, it's actually a rear wheel in this 97. I think it's rear wheel. I don't. Did they go to the all wheel into the 2002?
I think it might have all 4. I think the R33 had all 4.
Someone on chat. Someone in chat let us know, but I believe it was all wheel in 97. Front engine, 0 to 60 in 4.9. She's heavy at nearly 3,400 pounds. All wheels on that R33. Chat confirms. Final lap.
Yeah, some models of this R33 actually had 4-wheel steering as well. I'm not sure that's the one that's in the game itself. It's Force One looks again.
I don't see those back wheels turning.
Yeah, I'm not sure that this is exactly that model, but yeah, an interesting fact. A few of them did have it.
Final lap here, Allie. Focus up. Lap 7 of 7. Lightning out in front. Force One wants his spot back. Lightning once again trying to hold the door.
One last time, and Lightning with that late darts to the inside just about controls the car under braking. You see the wobble. He's going to let the adjudicators figure that one out because he's through into the lead. Aggressive move from Force One there. I think creating a gap where a gap did not necessarily exist.
Well, it'll look good on the screenshot for the provisional, but there's no way. That's twice that he's darted in on Lightning. Now, Lightning, the one thing you got to be careful here is you got to put that in the back of your mind and say, all right, I'll just hold second here. You can't try to retaliate here and maybe get a penalty of your own. That would put Vanquish up on that top spot, so hold it steady.
Yeah, Lightning's, he's going to have to put on his little angel wings right now. Just kind of pretend he's a Cupid, follow Force One around and look all aggrieved when they stand on the podium afterwards. See if he can garner some sympathy from the marshals.
Turn 12. 3 more turns left before the Sud curve, and that's the final one. Here they come around 14. Double right-hander in 15 and 16. Does Lightning have a bit more juice in him? And it looks like Force One's going to hold out. So Force One Lightning Vanquish, that's provisional. But I can tell you from watching hundreds of these races, of course, I have no idea what the adjudicator is going to do. I'm done trying to guess. But, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to say. You might be able to make an argument that Force One dove in and Lightning closed the door on him there and made the contact. So it's really, they're going to be looking very closely at all of the incidents at the hairpin there.
Well, when Lightning's braking at the 20 marker and the other guy, if Force One's braking at the 10
right
on the inside, one has to believe that's not very gentlemanly.
But you got to believe that Lightning sees Force One there.
He sees him. He sees him. He's trying to close the door. The big question for me, in a sense, is was Force One ever going to be able to get that car stopped? We saw the push to the inside, and there was just a little tinker on the back of that car, a little wobble as it raised onto the rear suspension raised up and the front compressed, that made me think that car is not decelerating. He's going to have to use another car to get that car stopped.
And I was surprised that we didn't see more defending of that line from Lightning there. We saw that with Davey Skills at Suzuka in turn 1, where he was all the way to the right-hand side because he didn't, like you said, didn't want people dive bombing. Lightning did that. It seemed like he was edging there a little bit, but not every time.
I completely agree. Weak defense from Lightning. Weak defense. He should be all over that inside line. If he leaves a car width in there, you got to think Force One's going to take it, for better or worse.
Right.
You have to think about racing intent. As fact, Force One only has 1 penalty on the year through season 1 and 2. I got a feeling another one's coming. Let's take a look at the replay here in race number 2 of North America. And we saw some good racing between this top 4.
Frankly, I don't know if we can keep all of this straight because we saw as many lead changes as you'd see in a NASCAR race. It was incredible. Vanquish up here early, looking really good. And then here's Force One later in the race, and this moment where Venom went really wide here. I'm actually shocked he kept 3rd place here.
He kept it clean, and that's what I love about it. It was a bail, a complete bail. Way too late on the brakes, cuts it over the curb. He's not trying to make the corner there. He's just trying to make sure he doesn't mash into the leaders and cause too much chaos. Yeah, keeping 3rd, though, that was very lucky for him.
Venom and Vanquish side by side into this turn here. You see Force One go really wide there. Opens up the door for Lightning. And that's maybe where Force One was feeling, I've got to make something happen here, right here. At the hairpin.
That could be round number 1 as well, because he made a carbon copy of that move later on for the win. At the end of the day, it's kind of Force One's fault that he didn't win this race. That mistake on turn 2, he was scot-free.
Yeah.
He was scot-free, made a mistake at turn 2, and allowed Lightning back into that battle.
You saw a little bit of the replay, maybe Venom pushing the track limits at times.
Yeah.
Maybe doing a little bit of cutting here and there. Of course, we're not the marshal. The only marshal I know is Roadrunner.
That's right.
our unofficial marshal in the chat. So we'll have to find out if that sticks without the adjudication happening today. They're going to be on pins and needles trying to figure out when the point totals come back.
I'm going to be refreshing the website,
yeah.
ForzaRC.com, and the social feeds, Twitter. What's going to happen? Because we saw some incidents in race 1, but these guys are going to be super busy for race number 2. So much action.
Well, you got an action cam going on there, like extreme close-up.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Let's go over to Kate, who's got the provisional results.
What a race that was, and it was so fun watching the chat. Everybody had some insight, and I think that was really some solid racing one way or another, depending on how you look at it. I think it was great. All right, provisional results are in, and Force One's there up at the top, and it was fun watching him after that race 2 in chat. He said that was absolutely amazing. Wow, Lightning, that was awesome. So he was obviously really stoked, but he did say he doesn't know what obviously is going to happen in ad education. So that was Force One in second, Lightning in second, Vanquish in 3rd, Venom in 4th. People were saying good stuff from Venom actually out of there in chat. Harmonic 5th, Sterilizer 6th. So on and so forth. One thing to remember is that Force One's only had 1 penalty in both Series 1 and Series 2 so far. So we'll obviously see how all that plays out. Gentlemen, you know, they talk about the fact that, you know, rubbing is racing and being aggressive. We talked about it in MEEA earlier today about where's that limit with aggression? Do you think this is coming clearer and clearer with the North America guys?
I need to use my hand signals. This is what Ali does. He's like, if it's like this, guys, it's totally okay.
You have to go like this and then go like this.
But not like this, lads. What do you think? I mean, when you're diving in at like a 45-degree angle, that's a lot different than just swapping paint.
You know what, Scott? I mean, my perspective on all of this, on track limits, on using the handbrake, on aggression on the track, is don't race the cars around you. Don't race the limits of anything. Race the rules, you know? And if you're going to get called out and if you're going to get a penalty, then don't do it. But, I mean, go as hard as you can without getting a penalty.
All the way up to the limit. That goes for the track, the car, and the racing.
And that is your prerogative, and that's what you have to do as a driver. Be as fast and aggressive and winning as you possibly can be.
You know, we're celebrating the 90s. Was that a Bobby Brown? That's my prerogative. We can do what we want to, Kate.
Absolutely, you can do what you want. I like that, Skackle. All right, this is something if you need a little bit more hype to get you excited for Forza Motorsport 7 that'll be coming out October 2nd. Take a look at this. We're going to be right back.
We were born for greatness. Somebody sound me alarm. It's time that you know. No, we're not nameless, we're not faceless. We were born for greatness. So if you're running,
Play it on Xbox One.
That just gets my heart pumping. I don't know about you guys,
I know.
but going drifting?
Yeah.
Woo-wee.
So that's the Formula Drift car pack, as is said in the trailer. That's the trailer that our awesome media team put together. Congrats to you guys. That's one of the best you've ever done. This is the pack that's available both in Forza Horizon 4 and Forza Motorsport 7. If you digitally pre-order Forza Horizon 4, you'll get that pack at launch in Forza Horizon 4 and in Forza Motorsport 7. So 7 awesome drift cars coming to both games.
Well, I think it's super exciting. I know everyone in the community will, I would imagine everybody would look forward to that. Well, some team changes. I know we've touched on a few of them, gentlemen, here throughout the day. But of course, THR, Williams Racing, things are moving and shaking.
Things are moving around, exactly. It's a very dynamic atmosphere
That's right.
in the Forza Racing Championship, and everyone's looking for a better deal than the one they previously had.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what the drivers have to do. You know, get themselves in the best possible position to get the most out of succeeding.
And we talk about big teams like Williams and Sauber getting in the game. And as we were talking about earlier, the small teams still going strong. THR, TPR, F4H still there, still making strong cases for their existence in the Forza RC.
Oh yeah, oh for sure. And there's so much talent in those teams. You know, and you can include JSR in there
Yep.
as well. They're completely justified in being a part of this competition,
Yeah.
and they're absolutely brilliant members of the community. I love watching them race.
You know, I want to talk quickly about the fact that Williams Racing has picked up their 3rd driver and how important that is as the team dynamic goes, as these guys are now working together.
Well,
I mean,
theoretically.
but that's the point, right? So
Yeah.
where's that balance, right? You're working
Right.
together now under one roof, if you will, yet at the same time having to, going after it themselves.
I mean, one of the massive things about having at least 3 drivers in your team is that the team leaderboard for the Forza Racing Championship 2018 takes the top 3 results from each team. So if you have 3 at least, then you can score your maximum points for your team. You'll always be dropping some points if you have less than 3 members in your team. 7 is an incredible addition to Williams, of course. This roster looking very strong now.
The number 6 overall. I mean, what a pickup for Williams. And you have a Le Mans winner and a guy in Mitch who is continuously proving himself to be a dominant force in that team, maybe the star driver of that team.
I mean, look at him earlier today in EMEA, the only driver really to give what I think was a very convincing threat to G2 Lage, he's looking very strong right now as well. No teammates, no team player or anything, but looking very, very strong.
I wonder if he likes that. I'd be curious, Lage. Let us know if you would prefer someone to be on your team with you. And really, another guy without teammates you talk about is the Sauber Zoom that we have coming on, who used to be Hard VR, which now, by the way, all these name changes, gentlemen, you're making it tough on us.
But the global number 1, this is a guy who's dominating LATAM, had a really good showing at Series 1, and now picked up by a major F1 Formula 1
It's
esports
incredible.
team.
Yeah, really
Congrats. Congratulations, really, I think is in order. And having Alfa Romeo on is another strong add. And of course, big news with Mr. Jack. All the news is happening.
This is kind of, this isn't great news.
But it's news.
Yeah, it is absolutely news. Mr. Jack sort of saying that he's stepping away from the Forza RC, whether this is a permanent retirement alley or just sort of he's feeling bad after some rough results. It's hard to say, but it's indicative of the kind of work that these guys are putting into the series.
The emotional ups and downs that you see from all the drivers, and we were just talking about Force One, another very emotional driver who was out on the track just a moment ago. The emotional ups and downs from these drivers are massive because they invest so much in the competition. They want to win and they want to prove themselves. So when it doesn't work out, it feels crushing. You never want to race again. But when it does work out, it's such a great feeling.
But the thing is, he's 24th in the world. Like, it's shocking to me. I understand frustration. I get that. But you're 24th in the world. You are still in really great position for Mexico City and the finals.
But, sometimes whether it's a mental health, it's a physical health, it's just time away. I mean, these guys are competing on Sundays. They're competing on Wednesdays. There's practicing in between. There's team organizations. I think you then add that fact that becomes such a mental game, an emotional game. On chat during that last race, there was a conversation saying, we should put heart rate monitors on these guys during Mexico City. I think that would be a really fascinating go at it, and how that really takes a hold on these drivers.
Absolutely.
And I mentioned it in the EMEA stream, but this is something that team management should be doing. TX3 have a huge network of gamers and racers who work for them, basically contracted by them, and they should be looking after their people. You've got to look after your talent and nurture it and make sure that it's getting better and pushing faster. Otherwise, things like this happen.
It's precisely what Sauber is doing with their real F1 drivers, and
Exactly.
Williams as well. So you wonder what these well-funded teams are going to be able to do for their drivers in the esports side of things.
Well, and I want to make a note real quick back on Mr. Jack. In chat earlier, when we announced it during the EMEA, his response was a little bit overwhelmed. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it. He didn't expect people to feel so almost like longing for him to stick around and stick it out. And it was neat to see that community support there. Speaking of community, Brian, there's some big updates for Forza Motorsport.
Absolutely. If you downloaded the latest update for Forza Motorsport 7 from last week, I know we had it updated as well today, but I'm talking about last week when we had the track updates come in, Ali. This is redefining track limits across every ribbon, every track in the game. And if you're not familiar with the new track limits, we have a new feature here where we illuminate the line so you can see exactly what's clean and what's dirty. This is big news for Forza fans and certainly going to affect the ForzaRC.
I love how transparent this is as well. If you're learning how to race at this skill level, at the very top of the game, you can find out exactly where the track finishes, what's going to dirty your lap, but also, you know, where the optimum line is through the track. And so there's a lot of information being given by the game, you know, a blue line if you're inside the track, yellow if you're a little bit on the edge, red if you're all the way out. And that's a way of learning. So it's a learning tool, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think it's all a lot of fun, and I think it's something that these guys, these ever-changing things, that everyone looks forward to seeing these changes and what's going to be different. And I think it's going to be an exciting August for everyone.
Absolutely, and a great tool for learning, as Ali said. It's not the only thing we did. We also did drift updates, drift suspension, new drift scoring model. There's so much going on in Forza Motorsport 7 right now.
I want to know, my big thing right now is drift suspension, is it faster if you put it on a race car? Can you get extra pace out there? That's like, I'm fascinated by that. There's a lot of,
Between that and the handbrake issue, there's lots of potential there.
I'm so there.
All right, gentlemen, let's take it back to the track here. It's time to go racing again, but before that, let's look at where we stood with the provisional results. Again, Brian, as a reminder.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, these are provisional results. If you missed the top of the show, we're dealing with an Xbox outage right now, which means that we are recording these races completely. All the adjudication will be done after the show is over, so you won't see final results here. Check the social feeds of ForzaRC. Check ForzaRC.com for the final results. And as we were talking about during the race, I suspect there'll be some adjudication for that second race.
I think there absolutely will. Okay, the leaderboard after that second race, again, provisional only at this point in time. That Wednesday showdown standings, Lightning is in first. He's got to be at least happy, but it's Lightning, so who knows?
Yeah, and so close between the top four there. We've been watching them all day long. Lightning, Force One, Venom, and Vanquish.
Good battles.
Good battle.
Good battles for sure. Just as a reminder, these are provisional. Of course, we will get those as soon as we have any other news for you on that. We will pass it along. Okay, gentlemen, it's almost time for race number 3.
Well, I think it's been time for race number 3. I can tell you that. I don't know, you guys having your own talk show over there. Scott Cole back with you, joined by Ali Tack. The people in the community call him Sparkles. And we're ready for race number 3.
I'll get you, Roadrunner. I'll get you.
Everybody in the Twitch chat having a little fun with Ali while you guys are over there having a mini podcast. We're ready for race number 3. And remember, we're going to be flipping the script here, but let's take a look at the car and the track combo for our final race of the day, and it's the car they did not want in the chat. It is the 300ZX at 94, number 75, the Cunningham. She's a bit heavy at 2,700 pounds, but she's got plenty of HP.
Yeah, a little bit more of everything, more weight and more power than the Mercury. A very difficult car to drive. The Steve Millen, the champion in that car, said that the turbo lag was like a light switch.
Going to be heading down to Florida. High black socks and all. This is where you go to retire, down in Sebring. It's a little more stressful, though, on this old World War II base. They used to fly the Flying Fortress, the B-17, in World War II, and this is how the grid's going to start. Jillian's going to be at the back. Tri-Passing's in second. Hurricane is in third. But watch for Lightning, Force One, Venom, Vanquish, and Harmonic. Those are going to be the guys making the moves.
Tri-Passing back to the front of this field. What can he do?
And the lights are out. Here we go. We're already seeing the guys losing the back end as they head down to turn number 1. It's a left-hander. Remember, you just saw the new track limits, so you got to be careful to keep at least a few of those wheels on the right side of the track. Up and through turns 2, 3, and 4 before you hit the big bend.
TUS Julian.
Oh,
Oh, that's
wow.
a massive crash. That's
Harmonic
huge.
off on the side, Revs also on the side. Sterilizer's able to make it through. Someone got it really bad in there, and I think it was Revs.
We can see one car pulled off to the side at turn 1 as well, so that looks like full damage for somebody way back there. That's F4H Revs, I believe. Yeah, really languishing back there. Oh, excuse me, that's a viewer cam. I'll take that back. That's actually just a
First
game
time,
admin.
it's
First time, right?
first time calling a race for Alley Tech.
What game is this?
Lap 1 of 7, so Revs took the most damage out of that. Harmonic was able to recover, but he's got some room to make. Jillian already lost his spot. There you can see Venom going wide. I mean, this is a very tough car to be able to handle, especially for these guys from North America. They wanted the Cougar. They wanted the Cougar so bad, but they're going to have to try to wrangle this Nissan around Sebring. It's not an easy task.
I tell you what, chaos like this, and it has been chaos in lap 1, is the absolute environment that some people can make massive and fast gains in. And we're seeing that with F4H Venom and TX3 Lightning, both drivers coming from the back of this grid and fighting now for 3rd position in this race. Venom up the inside of tri-passing, and Lightning will follow him through at the final turn, Sunset Bend.
Well, Diablo's the kind of guy that'll be able to hold this. F4H Razzo in the chat is like, if Diablo gets out in front, maybe no one will catch him. We're going to have an opportunity to find out. He's running 1 and 2. Right now, you got a little bit of gap between the rest of the pack there in 3, 4, 5, and 6.
What a lunge. Absolute missile there from Lightning. He holds it together. The overrun is going to bring Vanquish back into that. So THR Vanquish takes 3rd after Lightning puts an extraordinarily aggressive move onto Venom in turn 1.
Well, it almost cost him 3rd as well. Try pass and put his nose in there for a moment as they head around through the outside. They'll get on the big bend here. Maybe we got a moment before they go down to Hairpin to check in with Brian Ekberg.
Yeah, very quickly. Vanquish right now in 3rd, but he may have some issues later in adjudication. You see him getting right into Revs and turning Revs completely around. Harmonic runs into the back of Vanquish there, but you see Revs getting the worst of that. Maybe a penalty for Vanquish coming down the pipe.
Only time will tell. I mean, that literally, and we got chaos that you saw at the beginning of the race, and Revs got the worst of it.
Vanquish has had a lot of penalizing in the Forza Racing Championship. He's actually the most penalized driver out there with 11 instances. But I've got to say, a lot of that happened in Series 1. Ever since Series 2 started, he's really calmed that down. He's managed to, get on the right side of the marshals for most races. So I'm surprised to see that. Yeah, will he get penalized for it? Will he not? That's all in the lap of the expert adjudicators that we are not.
Great point, Sparkles. Lap
Sparkles
2 of
is not
7.
going to happen.
Sparkles is now a Fang. It's a Fang now. We're riding along with Lightning, who at one point put a beautiful move on in turn 1, but it would not stick. And he actually lost some position as he was trying to file back in line. Coming on Sunset now. Diablo out in front. I'm telling you, that 300Z, I know this is the race version of it, but it was a beautiful vehicle. I mean, the interior was terrible, but that's kind of what Nissan does. You see Vanquish, a little bit of lock up there, trying to hold down 2nd. Looking in his rear view, and he's got Jillian all over him. One of the TUS boys, we don't see a lot of them.
Yeah, Julian is a new signing for TUS. We've seen him under the gamer tag Julian XX a few times here in the Wednesday showdowns. But yeah, joining the usual suspects, a race team that have been very much on the move in recruiting drivers who maybe need a little bit more development before they get to the very top of the field. They snagged Julian, and what a great job he's doing representing that team here in the Wednesday Showdown.
He's racing really well right now. A lot of folks in chat impressed with what he's able to do in this reverse grid thus far. They'll move on through the circuit, heading down to the tower. That's where the old air traffic control used to be on this airfield.
I got to tell you though, THR Vanquish has cut his way through this pack, has sliced his way through this pack, and made it up to second place. Only F4H Diablo now stands between him and victory. And Julian's doing a great job of holding Lightning back a little bit. I think this could be Vanquish's race to lose if he can make it around Diablo, which he should have the pace to do. So this could be a first win for Vanquish as a THR driver, a driver for Team Highlands Racing.
Zombie Boss in the chat says he actually likes his interior in the 90 Z32 that he has. It depends on if you have the digital dash or not. The digital dash, the only way to get it to come back on after a couple years was to hit it with your knee or your fist. That's the only way to get that interior back on. Lap 3 of 7, back across the start-finish line once again. As we move into lap 4 here on Sebring. And there's turn 1 again. I mentioned they used to get right up against that concrete wall, but with the new track limits, and I think that's led to a lot more clean racing, especially here on Sebring.
I completely agree. That inside wall isn't made for overtaking or going right up to it. It's sort of built like a 50 pence coin, if you like. It's got sort of jagged edges to it. And if you really throw your car into that wall, you can very easily catch the nose and come to a complete standstill at a very rapid pace. So good to see them just being paced a little bit far away from that. And yeah, loving the Akira livery there for Diablo. Beautiful.
Yeah, we're coming out of a hairpin going on to Fangio, so let's check in with Kate Osborne.
Well, a couple of guys that have been battling out all day, of course, Lightning and Force One. I asked earlier in the chat what the trickiest part of Sebring is, in particular with these cars. And Lightning said the only tricky part is the S's near the end, where Force One says the track is really bumpy, which makes that throttle control quite difficult. Lastly, Loud Rev said dealing with the turbo lag in the curbs on this track is tricky while trying to push the car. All very interesting thoughts and good takeaways.
Yeah, I mean, if we're really celebrating the 90s, shouldn't we be getting our AOL 500 free hours, heading to Town Hall 17 chat? Go ahead and type your ASL in the chat.
No idea what you mean, mate. We should mention Vanquish has taken the lead of this race. I didn't see the move on F4H Diablo. I do feel like it was a matter of when, not if, judging by the relative pace of those two drivers. And you can see Vanquish disappearing off into the distance here. So THR looking strong for a win here at the Wednesday Showdown. And Vanquish as well, looking strong to maybe make it 2 for 2.
Yeah.
And winning 2 Wednesday Showdowns on the trot.
Yeah, of course, provisionally, we can't see into the future with the no adjudication process due to what happened on Xbox Live earlier. A lot of people in the chat want to know if they can email AliTac. It's sparklesuk@aol.com, or you can check out his MySpace. He's also on Angel Fire. He does have a GeoCities account too.
I am in hell.
Lap 5 of 7. Around the Big Bend for the 5th time as they race down to the hairpin. And boy, Vanquish has stretched himself out to quite the lead here. And so now it's going to be the battle between Lightning and Diablo. Two titans here in North America as Diablo loses the back end. Still doesn't have it straight.
Lightning poking, tapping, putting the pressure onto F4H Diablo, who's not going to defend here, giving Lightning a soft pass into the second hairpin. Don't need to give him 2 invitations. I think Diablo has got to a point there where he was like, you know what, Lightning? I don't want to deal with this anymore. I don't want to have to deal with this.
Sometimes it's best just to pull off to the side, get out of the way. Vanquish right now, that's the leader. He's running strong here in lap 5. And look how he's not lit up. Just because you got the lead, you got the clean air, doesn't mean you can't put the hammer down, and he will. Little right-hander coming up. That's turn 13. Lightning almost lost it there.
This is Force One as well we're on board with. So Force One also making it past Diablo, as has F4H Venom. So Diablo down to 5th position. And Force One still putting the pressure onto the Lightning. Lap 5 of 7. So 2 more circulations of this track remain when we pass the start-finish line. And Force One may be able to wrangle his way into 2nd position here.
And Force One, the kids would say, he's been OD this entire time. He just does not care right now. He will throw it at any time if he gets an opportunity to get close to Lightning. So look at that for the last 2 laps as we Move into lap 6 of 7. Final race of the day here in North America. We'll be back in 2 weeks to do the Wednesday Showdown all over again. This is the road to Mexico City. And of course, the championship in October. That'll happen in London as they take the leaders from Series 1 and Series 2 to see if they can get it done across the pond.
So many of the drivers we're seeing out here on the track today will be there in person in Mexico City fighting to take home some incredible prizes. A massive prize pool in 2018 of $250,000. And yeah, some of that going up for grabs in Mexico. Vanquish leading this race is currently 10th in the world ranking, so he's looking safe to make it into that playoff.
If we're really celebrating the 90s, that esports money would be like $17. You carry your big CRT to the LAN.
Yeah.
Set it up, play some Counter-Strike 1.3. Try to win yourself a couple floppy disks or something like that. I mean, the prize pool, you're mostly playing for pride.
Yeah, your records will be published in a magazine somewhere and people can try it at home.
Lap 6 of 7. You're riding along with Force One right now, who's provided some fireworks today. Of course, he's going to be heading down to, we're in Sebring, which is in Florida. He's going to be heading to Florida at Embry-Riddle. He's going to study aviation down there. Wants to be a pilot. Let me just put it this. It's simple with Force One. I just want to go fast.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I mean, the engine here we've got in the 300ZX, not so different to a plain engine with the massive turbochargers they put into it. 1 turbo per bank on that V8. An absolutely screaming car, and you can hear it on the straight. So yeah, very similar to maybe a slightly more vintage plain engine you'll see out there with that massive turbocharger on it.
Topher in the chat saying it was 1.6. No, I'm talking pre-Counter-Strike 1.6. I'm talking 1.3. I broadcasted both of them. I broadcasted 1.6 as well. That was the first time we ever had video esports back in Dallas. That was 2001, I believe, the first time we had some video. Lap 7. That was well back in the day. We used to have to rent Microsoft servers and play it off, the Windows Media. That was well back in the day. I'm dating myself now, Sparkles.
I'm not responding to that. That's not me you're talking to. Hey, Brian, I think he meant you.
I'll take it.
Final lap here as they race down. That's a great view of it there on the track map. As you can see, they're going to be coming off of Le Mans here in a moment. You dip around 15, you hit 16, and then all that momentum on the open straight, and you come down to Sunset Bend. Of course, the pro drivers just call it turn 17.
They do.
They don't care about the names.
I was talking to Joey Hand about it. He had no idea where Sunset Bend was. He said, oh, T17, that's what you mean. Yeah, that's hard. Yeah, that's
when you're in the endurance race here on Sebring, I mean, there's times that you are directly facing the sun on that straight. That's why they call it the Sunset Bend. Getting a little wide there for Vanquish, but it's not going to matter. He's going to cruise to a provisional win here at Sebring. Lightning coming across second, Force One third. And so the fastest in North America continue to get it done provisionally.
Big time provisional, especially for Vanquish, because we saw that incident that we showed off earlier from the start. Don't exactly know how that's going to go. He turned revs all the way around. So I know at the very least the adjudication are looking at that, whether that's going to end up with something with a penalty for Vanquish or someone else, we don't know. But a lot of people took advantage of that. We saw guys like Lightning get ahead. We all know Lightning's great at passing, but when he's given that kind of advantage, he's really going to make it stick.
Let's take a look at the replay here in our final race of the day here in North America. It was a good one down on Sebring. And there's that, what you're saying right there, Vanquish turning Paul, a.k.a. Revs, all the way around.
Yeah, and what you might have missed there in that right-hander was all those other cars getting around Vanquish there because of that incident. But really great job for Vanquish to put it aside. He doesn't care in that moment. He doesn't care about possible adjudication. He's racing to win. And to his credit, he made it all the way up front.
And that's the guidance that drivers have to take. Maybe mistakes will happen. Maybe this stuff will go on. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do in the race. Race your race, get your win by as much as you possibly can, and all the cards will sort themselves out afterwards.
It's funny, I was talking to Travis in the back who does our replays, and he said, all the clips I have are Lightning dunking on people and just passing and passing and passing. This is what Lightning does, He's got an average PGRG of like 6 places in reverse grid. He's a master at this.
Yeah, Force 1 starting to show that he has that aggression as well. But if Vanquish can make that stick, you talked about it, it might be 2 weeks in a row that Vanquish has shown, at least from a North American standpoint, that he might be someone to reckon with.
A racer, an absolute racer. And we talk sometimes about drivers. Some drivers are very good at hot lapping. Some drivers are better car to car and that kind of action on the track. Vanquish showing himself to be a driver who is absolutely dominant when he's going wheel to wheel.
We've had a great time here hanging out. Let's go over to Kate, who's got the provisional results.
That was a really interesting race, I'd have to say, and I think it was really fun to see these guys go really battling it out. You had Lightning, who went from basically last up to second, if you will. And Lightning said, sorry, Venom. He was trying to completely avoid you, which obviously didn't seem to work out. And then for Force 1, he said he was making too many mistakes. So obviously, this is racing that does happen, but results show that that can be an issue. Vanquish obviously there in first, Lightning in second, Force 1 then pulling in a third, Venom in fourth, Diablo fifth, and our guy Julian there in 6th. I think Mellish there on our chat was excited to see him in 6th as well. Gentlemen, did that surprise you whatsoever?
Julian especially was a tricky one there. Get your headset back on. What's this about? Come on.
Talking to Roadrunner over here.
Yeah, you're trying to talk to Roadrunner about sparkles, apparently.
Brian and I were going to make a Chick-fil-A run, and I just started thinking about it. And then I'm talking to Roadrunner in the chat about all hell sparkles.
Okay, so you just had your mind on chicken, is what you're saying. You were like, do I go for the nugs or am I going for a burger? How excited are you to see TUS Julian do well? That's the question.
He did really well. When we've saw several times in both of our races where you get the opportunity to have a reverse grid, just proves how much parity there is. That if you qualify and you're up top, that's the key. That's the key to these podium finishes, is how well you do in qualifying. A lot of people just go out there in the qualifying and say, well, I just want to have a nice finish. I just want to get this over with. I'm going to go to Chick-fil-A. But no, skip to Chick-fil-A and get your qualifying and try to get yourself on the podium.
All right, I think you've earned your Chick-fil-A.
All right, I appreciate it. Let's go back over to Kate.
Well, there will be a winner chicken dinner later on here today. I'm pretty certain Scott Cole's excited about that. But before we get to that, we have champ versus champ, and this is one video that I have to say I literally laughed out loud watching. One's going to be a champ, one's going to be a chump. You guys wait to find out.
For this challenge, I've chosen an unlikely beast. It's a 1994 Land Rover Defender. And Joseph, as a back-to-back champion of a few different series, I know that defending your championship is sometimes more difficult than getting that first one. So don't let this get in your head. It is a Defender. If you forget that, just check out the license plate. It's Defender.
Now, to make it a little more interesting, I'm actually going to have you try and spell some names of manufacturers. So I'm going to read off a name. You're going to spell it back while you're driving. If you spell it correct, you're good. If you spell it wrong, you're going to lose a second of lap time. I'm going to start with an easy one. Acura.
A-C-U-R-A.
What about Brabham?
B-R-A... U-H... No.
You should look at the road. No, it's not spelled up there. Bugatti.
B-U-G... I hit the brakes when I run. Double consonants kill me. B-U-G-G... or B-U-G-A-T-T-I.
Chevrolet. That one's pretty simple.
C-H-E-V-E-R-O-L-E-T.
What?
No, wait. Sorry. Say it again. Chevrolet? Oh, I'm
Chevrolet,
going to the wall.
Can you spell Ferrari? That's all I want to know.
Yeah, let me finish the corner. Damn it, I sucked on the corner too. It's almost like I should take the second on the corner instead of the F-E-R-R. There's 2 R's in the beginning. A-R.
You're close. You're so close. What about Hyundai? Can you spell?
Hyundai. H-Y-U-N-D-A-I.
What about Jaguar?
J-A-G-U-A-R.
Yeah, you got that one.
All right, we'll keep it easy to start off with. Lotus.
L-O-T-U-S. That's got to be the best one on there.
Good. Peugeot.
Oh man, that's really difficult. P-U-G.
It starts with a P, yes.
O-E-T.
Maserati.
I'm just gonna go for speed and like try and not worry
Just
about
ignore
those.
me.
No, I'll spell it for you. M-A-S-E-R-A-T-I.
McLaren.
M-C-L-A-E. I'm sorry. M-C-L-A-R-E-N.
Pagani.
What is it?
Pagani.
Pagani. P-A-G-O-N-I.
A Lamborghini.
Oh my gosh. L-A-M-B-O-R-G-H-I-N-I.
Whoa, that was a good one.
Did I get in there? Excellent.
Yeah, okay, here's an easy one. Koenigsegg.
Oh yeah, that's simple. I'm gonna get that wrong. I should just skip it, but I'll try. K-O. I'm driving, buddy. I can't answer this.
Renault. throw it at me.
R-E-N. Renault. Why can't I spell Renault while I'm driving? R-E-N. I don't even remember right now.
Mitsubishi.
Mitsubishi?
Go.
M-I-T-S-U-B.
Go, quick.
M-I-T.
Go.
S-U-B-I-S-H-I.
Let's see, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 correct, and 1, 2, 3, 4 incorrect for a time of 204.4. What was my time? 204 point. Tanner, you had 204.872.
Oh, the worst speller in the world gets it.
That's good stuff right there. As Joseph said, the worst speller in the world gets it. What does that make, Tanner?
Your own conclusions there.
but it was funny as you were watching that, you were saying that Koenigsegg should be, there should be the amount of G's that
That's
should be
right.
a word. Like we should
They
cut
need
it
to
off
legislate that in Sweden. There should only be so many G's in a word. I think that's reaching
tough.
the limit right there.
Anyways, all right. So where people have gotten a chance to get involved here, especially as we celebrate the 90s, is adding liveries, making their own liveries, creating their own liveries as a designer and putting them out there. Well, we have received a few. We saw one last week that people really liked in the 80s. And they're actually right behind us on the wall as well.
Absolutely.
We're celebrating them, but these people have really spent some time.
We have incredible artists in the Forza community.
It's incredible.
Yeah, they use the livery editor to create these incredible designs on these cars. Here's the SCS Screamies with the theme of this week that he applied to this car, and he did a fantastic job. Got the bricks, got the paint splatters. Kate, this screams 90s.
I think you nailed that with the Screamies. Of course, then we have the Buddy Munter there with the Millennial. I think it's party like it's 1999. No one wants to see
The year Ali was born.
That's correct, yes. Correct. I hatched from an egg in 1999. Yeah.
And Sparkles was born.
Yes, there it was.
Love this classic race livery from Red Bantha. This looks gorgeous.
It's a beautiful livery, isn't it? A
Very
classic
iconic.
motorsport livery. I mean,
So simple.
Yeah,
so
it says
effective.
so much.
Yes.
and that's the thing about these very simple ones. They look so clean sometimes. The livery doesn't look very clean.
This one,
Speaking of that.
this one went off-roading a little bit, if you will, out maybe rally racing, but that Momo is real nice. That private custard, well done. That's really fun.
Yeah, great job, Private Custard, on that. And a personal favorite, guys, Crystal Pepsi.
I have to agree.
Slow motion fire,
It's
well
so
done. I mean,
great.
taking it to the 90s.
And can we have Crystal Pepsi next time in here?
I gotta put that in our rider.
I want to like put
Right?
my foot in it. It looks like a sneaker. I feel like I can just put put my foot right in that car.
The 90s are back with Crystal Pepsi, and yes, a personal favorite around those of us
Especially
here
in
in Seattle.
Seattle.
Absolutely. The Nirvana from PTG Fox. PTG has some legendary painters in that group, and he did a fantastic job. This Kurt Cobain with the Angel Wings. Great job.
And of course, you can vote on these and watch.ForzaRC.com. And PTG Fox is who won earlier in the EMEA group. So
And these liveries, we're doing another one for next time with the 2000s. So go to ForzaMotorsport.net. You can sign up for these livery contests and do them yourself.
I'm
as
still
well.
trying to think of what the 2000s really represent to me. I don't know. Have you guys any thoughts? First thing that comes to mind?
Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
Early, you know.
Mini discs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
iPhones,
Yeah, iPhones.
right? Or those
iPod.
iPods.
Yep.
Anyways, I'm going to be doing some serious research. I want everyone to be ready for the 2000s.
Like
but
new
those
metal as well.
Oh, yeah, Fred Durst.
Yeah,
All
Fred
right,
Durst.
all right. Let's finish it up here as we have the leaderboard coming on to see where everything's kind of shaken out at this point in time.
And remember, all of these results today, we're looking at Lightning in first place, Vanquish, Force 1, and Venom, the fight for today amongst the top 4. But we have to remind the audience that all of these results are still provisional due to some technical issues we've had with Xbox Live. We've recorded all the races. All of these results will be adjudicated, Ali, and we will find out final results after the show.
Correct, exactly. I mean, what we mean by provisional is that they might be corrected. We might add some penalties, add some lap time or race time to these drivers' results, and change the order slightly to reflect, if they've even been bad, if they need a slap on the wrist, if they've gone 4 wheels out the track, or if they've knocked into somebody or taken some other unfair advantage.
And we saw a little of all of that.
It was a smorgasbord.
Yeah, that's right.
Unfair advantage, yeah.
Well, some good news for Ali here as well. And for Billy Sue out there, we are wishing you the best now. But rivals, Billy Sue's going to be doing it.
He is. You're right. That's a great segue. That was awesome. Yeah, right into there. The rivals are starting tomorrow, so that'll be the bonus rivals, the booster rivals for anyone who missed out on the races. So definitely a last opportunity there to score some points in this 2-week cycle of the Forza Racing Championship.
Yeah, and get yourself a McLaren F1 in the process, which is a nice little bonus.
That's a nice bonus.
I'll take it.
Well, of course, we continue on with our Wednesday showdowns here for Series 2. We have one left. That's August 29th, and we have a Series 2 recap, playoffs promotional show, and then, of course, our Series 2 playoffs, which will be in Mexico City, September 29th and 30th, which is something that we all very much look forward to as well.
Mexico City will be here before you know it.
And absolutely will. Okay, final thoughts for today, gents.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about it because I knew you were going to ask that question.
I just always want to know what someone's thinking at the end of the day.
And I was like, what are my final thoughts today? I think my final thoughts are that the hype around THR's new team is absolutely justified.
Yep.
You know, what a great performance from Vanquish. McQueen did a great job at Skyline, and also Try Parson representing, the older crew there at THR who, didn't come in on this latest wave of recruits.
Yeah, and I can't get over that top 4 battle. Boy, it was back and forth on almost every race we saw today. Venom, Force 1, Lightning, all of these guys. Vanquish, too, had some great results. We're not exactly sure how it's all going to roll out provisionally, but boy, these guys fought hard today.
Oh, absolutely. It was a hard-fought fight. And we do appreciate, obviously, everyone who's been involved, from our sponsors, which we have Plantronics, Playseat, to our crew of hundreds that are behind the scenes making this happen, of course, for Scott, Ali, Brian, myself, Kate, and all of you for joining us here today on our Round 3 Wednesday Showdown. We thank you. We look forward to seeing you at our next Wednesday Showdown.